Buddy, I'm Ronnie.
Hi, and I'm Jenny,
And who
and we
are we?
are the Heart and Soul Sisters.
We are, yes. So we're happy to be with you today. What are we talking about today, Jenny?
We are talking about Abraham Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks,
Yes, yes,
and how awesome, how awesome their messages are. So,
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So it's interesting because a lot of, what do I say? Many spiritual perspectives talk about this idea of manifesting, the idea that you
mhm.
can create, you can bring things forth. And
That's why we're here. We're here to create.
it
That's what the
is.
whole Earth world experience is about, right?
Right,
It's creating.
absolutely. But this idea that, I mean, I can remember Dad talking about this in the 70s, right? We've talked about the kinds of things.
Yeah,
He read a whole bunch of different stuff, and he kept talking about how you will things to you. Um,
right.
but in a way that was blaming and punishing. Like, you're sick, you
Blaming
willed
and
that to
shaming. Yeah.
you.
It
You know,
was
it's like,
sort of a negative twist on
yeah.
manifesting. It was interesting. Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
like,
but
yeah, it
I
was
guess I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the stuff that I've read. So before I encountered Abraham Hicks, right? Before I encountered Abraham Hicks, I was familiar with this idea of manifestation. Um, you know, positive
creative
thinking,
visualization.
right?
Yeah.
Creative visualization, positive thinking, like those ideas have been around for a very, very long time, and have had lots of different spins and twists within spiritual circles, shall we say? And so
Mm-hmm.
so it's not that the concepts themselves are new in that sense, but that there's just a different spirit associated with the writings, the words, the teachings of Abraham Hicks, which is
Yeah.
a collection of spirits that Esther Hicks began channeling accidentally, right? I mean, just for those of you who aren't familiar with Abraham Hicks, um, Esther and her husband Jerry started out by beginning to meditate. Probably what, 30 years ago now
Together.
at this point? Yeah, they decided they
Quite a
wanted to
while ago.
meditate together. And after doing it for a while, a year and a half, she started to speak in this voice that he didn't recognize. And she was channeling, it's actually a group of souls or spirits that called themselves Abraham. And if you listen to, like, we listened to several of their audiobooks when we encountered them. And so if you listen to
Yeah, the law of
them,
attraction. And I mean, there's so many of them
yeah,
out
there's
there.
law of
There's
allowing,
also on YouTube
there's
and
one on
yeah, and
relationships.
right.
So
The
applying it to
vortex.
relationships, yeah, yeah, right, exactly. So but I remember when I first listened to them, and Esther would sort of channel um, this group of souls or spirits called Abraham, that she would have a different voice. And they kind of described it
Mhm.
as, it's like her body was in some ways resisting that. And so there was a little bit of forcedness isn't the right word, but it just it was unusual and uncomfortable for her for this to be happening. And as she became more comfortable with it over the years, her voice, if you hear her more recently, there's not that affectation, if you will, I guess I'll call it,
Right.
to her voice. But it's so fascinating because it takes sort of the blame out of it, right? It says that
Yes.
it the idea is that you're here to experience a physical plane, and your experience presents contrasts. I just love that word. It presents contrasts of things you like and things that you don't like. And most of us would prefer more of what we like and less of what we don't like. But what we do instead is we
Correct.
spend our time focusing on what we don't like, how terrible it is, or the things that we don't like that maybe haven't even happened yet, which is what we call worry or anxiety, right? Oh my God, this could happen, that
Right.
could happen, it could all, unravel for me. Um,
Right.
and it's really just about, can you just let that go, right? Kind of as a meditative practice. You notice the thought coming through. Do you like that thought? If you like that thought, hold on to that thought. put some energy around
Exactly.
that thought. If you don't like that thought, let's put that back on the track and let it just keep
Yeah,
moving
just
on
let that
down
one go.
and not give it any more of our attention. And so that's
Energy,
that's
right.
all it is that your creative energy goes where your thought energy and your attention goes,
And your emotions.
and your
And your emotions.
emotions. So that the
It's in
practice is putting your emotional energy, your invest your creative energy into the thing, into attracting more of what you like, right? What you find
Yeah.
pleasing.
Yeah, Abraham talks a lot about feeling, staying in the vortex of joy, staying in the place of feeling good. And it's not to say that we ignore when we're feeling sad, or when we're feeling scared, or it's not to say that you ignore those emotions. You acknowledge those emotions, and you be present with yourself when you're going through something. But that when you are creating, when you are thinking, our thoughts are energy. Our body is energy. We have an energy field around us. Our heart has an energy field of its own
Hmm.
and can affect the energy of another heart miles and miles away. And so it's really focusing where where we want to allow the mind to spend time.
Hmm.
And and so those thoughts that we've, like you said, on the conveyor belt, or the monkey brain, it's constantly chattering, it's constantly going. um, Instead of hanging on to those thoughts that make us feel clutching inside, right?
Hmm.
It's like,
Right.
that doesn't feel good. Worrying about, is my kid going to have a car accident, as they're driving to see me, or what, all those many many thoughts that we, instead of focusing on that, focusing on the joy of being together, or the, whatever it is that you want to create.
Hmm.
And 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 Abraham talks about, if you keep saying, I don't have enough money, 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 well, sure enough, you're not going to have enough money. So it's like, but if you focus on what it is you want to create, well, I want to find this job that pays me what I need to take care of things, and I want to have these great coworkers that we support each other, and I want to have, and you, if you're focusing on, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, or this is what I want to create where I am right now. It's funny how our thoughts send out it's like radar going out to our environment around us. And I think, any one of us that has been in a place for a while of feeling down, feeling negative, feeling like nothing's going right, and that's where your thoughts are dwelling, and lo and behold, your relationships at work are tense, or your, things just kind of, it's like
Hmm.
a snowball, uh, you know dunghill rolling down, downhill. It just keeps collecting more, more debris with it.
Yeah.
but when but when we change our perspective and change our attitude, and start sending, gratitude, appreciation for what I have, this isn't so bad, this, where I am right now, is pretty good, and I appreciate you for what you're doing for me, and I appreciate, how you helped me out with that. Or it's learning to be grateful, because we all, I think, can look at our life and, is the glass half full, is it half empty,
Right.
and if you look at where you are, and start showing appreciation, and sending that love and appreciation to yourself, to your environment, to the people around you, it does create more goodness, it does create more joy, more goodwill, more, and it becomes this wonderful, beautiful ripple effect in your life. And so that's what Abraham is trying to help us realize,
Yeah.
is that the energy we're transmitting with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our hearts, is helping absolutely to draw to us, like a magnet, um, more good things, more joy, more peace, more blessings, and it does help. I mean, even if it, people, it's always, when you listen to the some of the YouTube things, people are talking about, well, I'm playing the lottery. It's like, well, maybe that's not what's meant for you to, maybe you're not meant to win the lottery,
Right.
but, 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 um, but by focusing in on the things that are going well in your life, the things that all of us have to be grateful for, it raises your energy vibration to where you are in a place where you're ready to see new opportunities, new ways to to explore and create more and wonderful exciting things, right?
Right. Yeah. It,
So I think that's the general message that we all can really can really benefit from what Abraham is here to share with us. Yeah.
yeah. You used the word grateful, and it reminded me that at least in one of, and I don't remember which book it was, but in one of them, Abraham actually says something about the word grateful, that grateful actually comes from a place of lack. Like, I'm so grateful that I got this thing that I didn't have, and I now have it, and uses the word appreciation instead.
Okay.
I appreciate. No, I wasn't trying to correct you, because I say the word grateful all the
Yeah,
time.
no.
But just
Yeah, okay.
because we're talking about Abraham today, and you said grateful,
Mhm.
it
Right.
reminded me of that passage, and I thought that was very interesting. So I do try to use the word appreciate more. Like, I appreciate that I was able to pay all my bills, right? I appreciate I'm able to go out for this nice dinner. I appreciate that I got to spend all this time. So it's an ongoing state of recognizing
Right.
blessings, right? As opposed to saying, "Oh, thank God I got that because I didn't have it and I really wanted it," or something. I don't know. It's just a slightly different energy. Again, I wouldn't say the
Right.
word grateful is bad. I use it myself, because sometimes people do give you something you don't have, but just as a matter of thinking, because really a lot of what Abraham talks about to me is like an attitude for moving through the world, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of a way of seeing the world to adopt, and as I said that, I can feel myself sitting taller and kind of putting my shoulders back, like walking upright. I am worthy. I deserve every good thing that I can conjure up in this life, and I don't make any apologies for that. I'm free to see what I like and don't like, and attract more of what I like to me. I think there is a
Yeah.
real sense of empowerment, as opposed to, there are a lot of spiritual perspectives that are more, what's the word I want to use? Like, there's a lot of deprivation, right?
Right.
Fasting, not using sugar or alcohol or caffeine. And I don't use caffeine, but I do definitely like my sugar and a glass of wine and so on. I'm not making any judgment about that, but I'm saying that there's a lot of spiritual, a lot in many spiritual perspectives, that is about kind of the denying of the self in some ways,
Right. Right.
Um, and Abraham is so very different, right? You came here to enjoy this experience, to be in the physical plane, because if you just wanted to live in unconditional love without food or other pleasures of the flesh, you wouldn't have come here. And
Right.
so kind of an unabashed, what do you want? Right? Like, the
Yeah.
world is
What
your
do you want to
oyster.
co-create?
What do you want to have? What do you want to enjoy? And not that it's like that you can snap your fingers and make it happen. Um, but just that, to me, it's just a more pleasant way to think about trying to go through my life. This idea that that I've got every right and all the power in the world to look for
Yeah.
what I want, and to sort of make it come to me. With some limits. Obviously, I'm not going to rob, steal, or kill to get it, but
Yeah.
I find it just really empowering that way. Like, I
Yeah.
can walk with my head up and my shoulders back, and I can think about what I like, and I can bring more of it to me.
Yeah. It's coming from a place of um and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but I mean Abraham's is talking about we're all sparks of the divine.
Hmm.
That means we all come into this world as we're good, and
Hmm.
I heard someone that recently say that all humans are bad, and they're born flawed, they're born bad, and it's our job to socialize them into doing what's right. kind of thing. And I was like, wow, that's like a upside down on its head. When I heard that, I was like, oh, I don't agree with that at all. But Abraham talks about how we are sparks of the divine. So and that spark is pure love and is
Hmm.
co-creative. It's a creative spark.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of being, here in the human world is to, or the earthly world, I mean, is to create.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you can create. Yeah, it's what we choose. It's what
Hmm.
we choose to focus on. It's what we choose to make of this world and of our surroundings. And I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that focus.
Hmm.
You know, if that's the focus, is to focus on finding more joy, feeling more joy, creating, appreciating what's already here, then that's a whole lot more fun to focus my thoughts and my energy on than focusing on what's wrong.
Right. It's focusing on abundance. It's moving through the world with an energy of abundance rather than lack. And even if you don't have
Yeah.
everything you want right now, what do you have that is bringing you joy, helping you live comfortably, allowing you to do at
Yeah.
least some of the things you want to do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. The other thing, since we're doing just kind of a quick overview of what we think are the highlights that we took with us and we're living with, is that kind of the first rule is about your creativity, your creative power, and how you harness that and make the most of it. But then the kind of the counterpoint to that's really stuck with me is what Abraham calls the law of allowing, which means you're a creator, you get to do what you want to do, and you got to let everybody else do what they are going to do.
Yeah.
So this, to me, that's so powerful because I've talked in a number of places, particularly early on in our podcast, that for years I was a control freak, and then I thought of myself as a recovering control freak, and now I don't use that to define myself anymore. But those things are still there. You can verify that. You 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 can
to
you can
to
tell
a
you
much
can tell all
lower
seven of our
degree than
listeners
they used to
that it
be.
is
No,
that it
you're
is
you're doing
still.
great, honey.
Yeah,
You're doing
thank you.
great.
I love you too. It's still there. And over the years, even before I encountered Abraham Hicks, I remember finally getting to the point where I would look at somebody else, one person in particular, a family member, making decisions I just thought were terrible. And I finally said, I just took a deep breath and said, you know what? I don't get to make that person's decision. And thank God they don't get to make mine. Right? Like that's a
Yes.
deal I can live with. Okay, you don't get to make mine,
Yeah.
so I won't make yours for you. But to me,
Yeah.
that's the law of allowing is a much more loving sort of
Yeah.
iteration of that. It's like
Yeah.
you're a fully functioning human being. You've got your own lessons you're here to learn, and you know, God bless you. I'm here to love you, and not to judge you,
Yeah.
and
Right.
be you. You know,
Yeah.
I really appreciate
It's
that.
it's very freeing, and it helps. It helps not. I'm not perfect at it. I'm still working on this, but it helps me get to a place of I don't have to convince you of anything. I don't have to fix you. um I just, good luck with all that. That's kind
Yeah,
of
the
that's
Seinfeld
kind of our
line, right? Good luck with all
Seinfeld line.
that.
I know, we just kind of, it's like,
We use that a lot.
okay, yeah, it's like, I'm not, just like I've mentioned before, I'm trying really hard not to give my opinion or any advice unless somebody specifically says, I want your opinion.
Yes.
But even when they're giving me their opinion and they're telling me, their whole spiel or whatever, I'm trying to listen and just say, okay, that's where you're at. And it's really, it helps me to not feel, because we all know people in our lives, or have met people that they're out there to convince us. If we
Yeah.
share anything of ourselves, then they've got to tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah.
and and so, I'm trying to just listen to those folks, and they want to share with me. I'm like, oh, that's, I'm trying not to say, yes, I agree with you, or but just saying, oh, I hear what you're saying, kind of thing. And just because they obviously they're unloading or sharing something with me, I don't buy into that philosophy, but they're not inviting me to comment on it.
Right.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh, yeah.
You can
Yeah.
tell when somebody's just unloading their political or whatever, agenda.
Yeah.
And and I'm trying to allow them to be and create what they want in their life and not give, my opinion. And it's helping me to not feel responsible
Yeah.
for other people and whatever it is they're creating.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. It's not my job to disrupt their creative process. As you said, unless they
Yeah,
reach out and ask for help. And even then, they may not like what I have to say. And so I'm right back to where I was with letting you be you.
right. Yes.
You know,
So it's very free.
yes, it is. And the other thing that I like, which is because that can sound like a kiss off, like, yeah, good luck to you, buddy. You know, um, but the other piece of that I really like is that then instead of spending my energy trying to convince them what I think they ought to be, or if I feel like they are, this is a terrible word, but it's the one that's in my head, failing in some way, right? Like, I think you could be a better friend, person, parent, whatever it is, right? That I have an idea about what I think they should do. If that really matters to me, if I really think that's important because they're harming themselves or I see them harming somebody else, then Abraham invites us to say, okay, see them and treat them as if they are already whatever it is you want them to be. Like if you're watching somebody be a terrible parent to a child, can I interact with them, treat them as if they are already a better parent, a more loving parent, a more attentive parent, whatever it is I think is a problem. If I feel like I have to invest some energy, let me invest my energy there as opposed to being critical. Right? So seeing them as
Yeah.
the best version or better version of themselves,
Of
as
themselves.
opposed to
Yeah.
criticizing where they are right now.
Yeah.
So that's helpful for me when I still have those tendencies of feeling like I know what's right, I want to tell somebody, or I want to do something about it. It's like that's a productive thing to do.
Yeah.
Create an energetic invitation for them to you know.
Be the best version of themselves.
That's I was trying to think about how to put it. Yeah. Because most people who are struggling aren't happy, don't want to be struggling. And so if we, because if we are energetically connected to someone, refusing to see them as changing or as trying can keep them stuck. We've talked about that in our own relationship, how when I first realized how crummy I was being to you as a sister and wanted to, participating in keeping you as a scapegoat in the family and wanting to change that, I felt like I was bucking headwinds because you were still seeing me as seeing me the same way, right? Can take a while to change that dynamic, but once you saw that, then a shift was possible, and so that's helpful to me in thinking about relating to other people. Can I see them as the best version of themselves? Treat them as someone who is and or is trying to be the best version of themselves, as opposed to heaping shame or judgment on them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have known people personally that were someone I would have considered someone to keep at arm's length,
Mm-hmm.
and through an interesting twist of fate, ended up caring for them as a patient years later, and found it's just been a beautiful spiritual lesson of this is somebody that was really ugly to me, as a teenager when I lived here, and now this person is a patient of mine, and I have great compassion and love for this person, and what a gift that is to, and I think a spiritual lesson for, for me to to really be able to say, yes, you can love people that you thought at one time might have been considered in the enemy category,
Right.
or, because, um, and that's all about forgiveness and seeing where that person is now. And what a great blessing to have had the opportunity to have that healing. We don't always
Yeah.
get that, right?
Yeah.
From somebody who, for no fault of your own, was really cruel to you. um and I I just it just drives home what we keep reading in these from these wonderful different spiritual people about how we really are all the same flame. We're just different sparks and different expressions, but we really are all connected.
Yeah.
And that means to the person that hurt you or wronged you, or they're really a part of you. They're really, your brother, your sister, however you want to think of that. you know we're all going back to the same place. We came from the same place. We're all going back to the same place.
Right. Right.
And and um and if you can see past the illusion, the superficial, what happened here in this moment, or this short time and space, um, and realize that there is love and forgiveness on the other side. And you can, when you see that person in their higher self, they're another beautiful person. They're another beautiful being, and just part of who you are. And and we're here to help each other, and to grow and to learn from each other. And yeah, and that's, I think, the beautiful message of Abraham is, it really is our perspective, our thoughts, and how we allow ourselves to feel, and um, and focus on, like you said, the higher energy feelings of joy and allowing and accepting. And it's really a it's a it takes, I think it takes a lot of the pressure off of getting into a place of creating and accepting, and allowing what I want in my life, and respecting that in other people's lives.
Yeah. I think as you were talking, I was thinking it just generates a lot of peace. Right. And
Yeah,
if you're not all stirred up, it's a lot easier to be focusing on what's working, what you want more of, that's bringing you
yeah,
pleasure, um, creating more joy in your life. Yeah, it is. It's, like you said, you could have nursed that old grudge from childhood, or you could just see them for who they are, what they are, where they are in their journey, where you are in yours, meet their needs, wish them well, and appreciate the blessing of the lesson, right?
hmm,
And it's
yeah.
yeah, that's great.
And it's a process.
Of course,
Not
of
there
course,
all the
yeah.
time.
So we love to share with you the times that we do really well. We have shared some of our flops as well, but
Oh
it's
yeah. Oh,
we're
there are moments
there's
of
there's a
great
reason
frustration too.
there's a reason we're still in physical form and not somebody's spirit guide at this point in time. We're still trying to figure it out. So, but we're trying to share, right? We're trying to share what we learned, just because so many people have helped us. That's really our focus this season, is all the people who've helped us, and what we've learned from them. Well, what's stuck with us, and how we've tried to
Yeah.
apply it. So, yay, Abraham. There's
Yeah.
so many. There's so many um, books. I've listened to at least 4, I think, but I think there may be more than that.
Oh, there are. Yeah.
So give them a shot and let us know what you think. We're always interested in what you think about the podcast, or what you think about the people and their ideas that we've recommended, and what's worked for you or what hasn't. So always,
Yeah.
please feel free to reach out and let us know.
We'd love it. Yeah, absolutely.
So in the meantime, we
Wishing you
yeah, go for it, Jen,
so much love, light, and
and always many blessings. Be well.
bye bye.